So today I want to talk about pain, something a lot of us avoid, as we should. No one wants to suffer their whole fucking life, but if you use it right, it actually helps you excel in life and get further than others, because everyone's just trying to make themselves feel happy and indulge themselves in alcohol or partying or procrastinating on their phone or whatever, and this obviously just doesn't get them far in life. So how can we use pain, like David Goggins says or Andrew Tate says, how can we use it to actually push us forward further in life and get ahead of others? Well, first you need to understand that pain necessarily isn't a bad thing, and you see this a lot in relationships. You know, there's a married couple that have been together for 10 years and they get divorced. Do you notice how the man or woman always have a glow up? And you kind of wonder, why did you just not have the glow up in a relationship? Because they were comfortable, there was no pain, there was no reason for them to switch because everything was fine. The moment that they break up, whether it's to make the other person feel jealous or they're hurt, they have some sort of negative pain that they then convert into energy and get built, or they make more money. Another thing is fat shaming. Fat guys get bullied, they go to the gym, they work out, they become bigger than everyone else, and then they're sorted. They're done. Why? Because it always stems from some sort of pain. And the reason I want to talk about it specifically, because it's helped me achieve a lot so far, and I hope it helps me achieve more. Now, one way I use pain to drive myself forward is just not wanting to be a failure, essentially. And what do I consider as failure? Well, I consider as failure as not being number one or not being better than average. So anytime I'm not performing well in physical sports, something that I do like boxing, or I'm not making a lot of money in a month, I think to myself, like, I'm being a failure, and that scares me. And it puts me in pain of just like, fuck, I shouldn't be here right now. So then it motivates me to get out. And I've been in pretty bad situations, and you know, a lot of you guys can relate. When you have no money, you find a way to get money. Heroin addicts have no money, yet they always find a way to get heroin. It's crazy, but it's true. And why? Because they're in pain of not having heroin. So you gotta first of all create a pain. And you create a pain by thinking, like, what is the worst situation? No, you're not having the fucking stars, bro. This dog was trying to open some sins. Anyway, creating pain. First of all, you gotta create a pain. Now, what can this be? This will either be like not being able to get my girl a proper engagement ring, or it could be something like looking like a loser dad and not being able to be a good role model for my kid. Like, these are very specific, but you've really got to imagine a reality where your life is absolutely fucking hell. And that is going to be what you run away from. Now, you've always got to be running from something, because if you're not running from something, you're staying stationary. And if you're staying stationary, you're not going anywhere. But what is one thing then running from something? Chasing something. So you've got to have an absolute worst situation in your life. I want you to try this right now. Close your eyes and think, what is the worst situation I can be in? And now think, if you do not run from that, that is where you're going to be. And now think of the best situation you could be in, whether you have money, whether you have a good physique, and that is what you're chasing. So now you have two motivators. You have, I don't want to be this, I want to be that. So when you feel lazy, you've got two things you got to watch out for. And a good way to understand this without me sounding like I'm just chatting shit is when I wanted to win my first ever boxing belt. Okay, like, I had 10 fights and I had a competition coming up, and I thought, if I do not win this boxing belt after I've been training so fucking hard, I was just thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna be an absolute loser if I do not win this. I've trained so hard just to fail. But on the other hand, I kept also imagining what it would be if I won, and that fueled me the most. In the hardest training sessions, I was just thinking, I'm training so fucking hard right now, I'm double efforting whatever my opponents do, you know, even fucking triple efforting whatever my opponents do, all because I wanted to win that bad. Now, taking this into more of like a business or money making mindset, if you do not make money, you're gonna work a dead ass job with someone telling you what to do every single day, and you having to clock in the same time every single fucking day, Monday to Friday. That is the worst situation. Now, what is the best situation? Now, we all know this. Travel wherever we want, get money, not get yelled at. So these are two easy understandings of what I mean by this. Now, how can we make this personal to you? First of all, I'm absolutely positive that there is something you want to achieve right now. Whether you're seeing people online lifting big or looking better than you and you feeling like down about it, or you just got rejected by a girl, you've got to find a pain. And I actually like that one I just said. So if you've just been rejected by a girl, your pain is, I do not ever want to get rejected again. So I'm going to look better, make more money, or whatever the fuck you have to do. Now, one thing you have to avoid is comfort. Now, you hear this all the time, like, don't be too comfortable or you're never going to move. But you literally need to understand that if you get comfortable, you do not go anywhere. You can't, because you're just standing still in the same position. And I would say about 80% of people, they're in this weird situation where they're not in a happy life, but their life is not bad enough to change. Now, Chris Williamson is the one that talked about this on this podcast, so I'm not sure whether there's like a theory or name for it, but if you're in a situation where your job's shit, but there's a few employees that you like, so you don't want to quit, or you're in a relationship with someone that's super toxic and they always try and message other people, but they're really nice to you and they give good sex. Now, in these situations, you would actually be better off if it was worse, because then it would actually prompt you to make a change. So let me ask you this. Are you sitting right there right now, making just enough money to survive, but not enough to enjoy the things you want to do or give to your significant other? And, it's going to vary. It's going to vary, this question. But if the answer is yes, you are actually better off the situation being completely fucked, because then you will actually make a change. So here are the steps that I want you to take. Find your pain. Find your absolute goal and where you want to be. And then they're going to be your two motivators. And the second thing is, I want you to identify any time you are in a comfortable situation or you're in a position, like I just mentioned, where things are just about good enough, but they're not bad enough to change. Because at that point, you gotta realize that you're in it and make the change yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be in there for so long, and it's kind of like a little bubble that traps you, because you think you're in an okay situation, but then you're in that situation for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then you look back and you're like, fuck, where has all this time gone? And I'm still here. One other thing I want to quickly mention is, if you're in a bad situation as well, you are actually lucky, because then you have more things motivating you. If you're a posh kid, your parents pay for everything, you don't have anyone to compete with, you're not going to do shit. Because what is driving you? Why would you care? Like, your life's like good already. Why does it matter? So please, if you're in a bad situation, maybe you might have issues with your family, you might not have enough money to pay the bills, take that as a good thing, because that is just another reason you need to change and improve your life. So for anyone that's still here, a video summary: find your pain, find your goal, identify when you're getting comfortable, and use every single bad situation in your life right now as another reason you need to improve and get the fuck out there. Alright, hope this helps someone out, boys. Let's fucking go. Boom.